What is up, Carmen Nation? Welcome into another edition of MLB Live. Today is Thursday, June 10th. If you're wondering why me and Rueb are kind of laughing early on, we were talking to Travis prior to getting on here, and I have the chat pulled up. I would like to know what you guys feel. For anyone that has not seen my Twitter or whatever, I did recently get engaged. So we were discussing weddings in which Travis said that he had two flavors of cake. One red velvet. Me and Rube agreed. Great, great cake flavor. Second one, fudge banana cake. I'll let you guys
Oh
decide if
man.
you like it. If you don't, let me know in the chat whether if you had two flavors. Can they hear you, Travis?
They oh, I
Oh,
wish
so
they can.
Travis is
Producer
talking.
Travis is in our ear right now.
He's saying it is banana cake with hot fudge
Our
filling.
mistake. How could we? How could we?
I don't know. If I had two choices, that would not be one of my top two. Everyone, you guys let me know if I'm wrong on this. But let's get in. Travis is in our ear again. All right, let's get to the actual slate. It turns out Dewan doesn't even know what kind of cake that is. No, neither do we, honestly. It's not a good choice. But we have a 6 game slate. It could get dropped to 5. It looks like the Giants Nationals are probably closer to playing than postponing, but it actually does look kind of dicey at the moment. I don't think we're probably going to know until much, much closer to lock. But there are 6 games. It's a relatively solid slate. I feel like it's pretty easy to know where you're going in cash games, which is going to make tournaments a little bit more exciting. But before we get started, I have not even asked Rube how he's doing. So, how are you, Rube?
I'm good, man. Just wanted to say congratulations to you on your engagement, and I hope
Thank
that
you.
you guys decide on a better cake flavor than our producer Travis. But yeah, man. I mean, I'm excited for this 6 game slate. Like you said, I think ownership is going to be really concentrated tonight, with a lot of people going the same direction. And I know for a player like yourself who likes to dabble in the GPP streets, that makes you excited for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think honestly, I don't even hate the slate. Usually for like 6 games, especially if you could drop it down to 5, I'm like, like at best it's like a mediocre slate. But I actually think this one's relatively decent. And just a quick outline this for cash to make sure we're on the same page. You're just playing Scherzer and Rogers in cash, correct? And then assuming you don't like the weather of Scherzer, you're moving to Frankie Montas. Am I right?
Yeah, I think that's pretty spot on. I mean, we're kind of burying the lead here. We didn't even talk about last night. Pour one out to me and you, Bales. I mean, the fact that me and you were on 40% owned Casey
Casey
Mize is just
Mize.
disgusting. I mean, if I would have known that he was going to be higher owned than Scherzer in the 121 last night, I mean, higher owned than Cole last night in the 121, there's just no way I would have done that. So pour one out to us. What a mistake. Ben called me out right at Slate Lock on Twitter, and I'm here to repent for my sins.
That listen, I was so locked in last night on people using Garrett Cole and Austin Gomber
Me
in
too.
everything, and I even actually thought to myself, well, maybe I should just use Casey Mize, Austin Gomber, because listen, I don't want to play chalk Gomber, but the spot was so good, and then ultimately I ended up obviously on Zach Eflin and Casey Mize, and I thought, it wasn't that bad of a pairing until I opened the app at whenever Mize locked and saw that he was over 40%. And I could not believe it. It was honestly one of the worst ownership mishaps that I've had of the season.
Yeah, that's one of those where, like, even if it works out, it's just so wrong. Like when
Mhm.
it locks, you just feel so gross seeing that like 43% or whatever he was. That, I mean, he was cruising through 5 innings, and he almost put out a really good outing there. But even if that works out there, I just don't feel great about it. So, I mean, just a little process for us right there, and just the way that we think about ownership and range of outcomes with these players. I know both of us are not happy to have played Casey Mize last night, but the best thing about daily fantasy sports is that we're already ready to attack a new slate today. And I think you're completely right that a lot of people are going to go Scherzer and Rogers today, and then Frankie Matas will be that third guy owned. Other than those three, I have a little bit of interest in Mike Minor, and those were actually like the only four pitchers that I wrote up in my slate breakdown today, just because I'm going to probably keep it pretty tight with those four and maybe get a little bit different with the bats. Is there anyone outside of those four that you really like that stands out to you?
So that I really like, no, honestly, those are probably my top four as well. I do think that assuming the game comes out fine and they play, Anthony DeSclafani, I think is relatively okay. I wouldn't mind taking a shot on him for his price, but there's a lot that I really don't like. I'm not going to play Ryu against the White Sox. I'm not really going to play Erod against Houston. Greinke is a guy that I just literally never play, and you're not really going to play him against Boston either. So there's a lot of decent arms or good arms on this slate. It's just none really get the matchups that you're going to use.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it's really difficult to justify Ryu against the lefty mashing but lefty mashing White Sox team, and then Greinke versus the hottest team in baseball in the Red Sox. I mean, it's just really tough to get on them today. So yeah, I'm going to be keeping my pitcher pool pretty tight. I even may go with the double chalk option in Rogers and Scherzer and just not look back, assuming that they're, the two best plays on the slate today.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think they're by far the best two plays, which then even in tournaments, I'm 100% fine playing chalk there as long as you get different elsewhere, which kind of can segue us into our stacks. The chalk stack is going to be the Yankees. We just continue to attack J-Happ. He is absolutely atrocious. Yankees loaded with right-handed bats. I don't believe they're so expensive that it's going to be impossible to get them tonight either. So I believe that the Yankees get quite a bit of ownership. And then I also think that Minnesota gets a decent amount back there just because those two teams both have the highest implied team totals. And, it's pretty wide between those two and then Washington, who sits in third.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like a perfect storm for this Yankees stack because they were kind of slumping and now they're getting healthier again with Stanton in the lineup every day. He hit 2 home runs last night. Really, the only guy you're not getting a discount on is Aaron Judge. I mean, even DJ LeMahieu, who is priced up in the high fours, low fives, is down to 4.2K today. After Stanton's really big game last night, now he gets a lefty. I think he's going to be the most popular player on the slate today at 4.7K. I feel like such a donkey playing him 2 days ago as Mega Chalk, not playing him yesterday, and now going right back to the well today. Definitely a mistake not being on him yesterday and like a pretty favorable matchup against Randy Dobnak. So yeah, the Yankees obviously popular. I actually think Houston is one of my favorite stacks today against Rodriguez. Not really someone that I love to pick on, but some of these Astros bats are just lefty crushers in Altuve, Bregman, Gurriel, and Correa. So I'm definitely interested in going to them. And then I'm not afraid of Jordan in a left-on-left matchup. What does this guy got to do to get priced up here on DraftKings? 3.7K tonight, being 3.9K yesterday and producing. So Jordan lefty on lefty is definitely a good place to go tonight in the outfield.
Yeah, I'm glad you said Houston because they're actually my favorite tournament stack at the moment. And I was kind of wavering back and forth on it because I don't like attacking Eduardo Rodriguez. I do think he's a really good pitcher, but he does struggle a bit with the long ball at times, especially when you look at the home run pitchers of this slate. Like it's essentially J-Happ and then kind of Erod second. So it puts you in a good spot for upside in tournaments. I will say though, basically the entire Houston offense is underpriced. Miles Straw is hitting last. I don't really care. You can use him as the little wraparound if you want for a Houston stack. He's 2K. It's absolutely ridiculous. Kyle Tucker continues to just play at a ridiculously high level. He's 3,200. You more or less can tell me that you're playing any player on this Houston team, and I'm not really going to have an issue with it just because Taylor Jones and Maldonado are also 2K and 2.2. So they're just all absurdly cheap, which is going to let you easily pay up for Rodgers and Scherzer. So Houston really sticks out to me. Outside of that, I have no problems with Washington, even though I do like DeSclafani. If you want to take like your shot on Toronto, Boston, the White Sox, they're all really good offenses. The kind of lower Vegas line that I think you can take a shot on is Miami, just because we know that Chichi Gonzalez isn't good at all, and they're going to be getting Colorado's bullpen. So I have no problems taking your shot there, but realistically, this is kind of a Yankees in cash and Houston in tournament slate for me.
Yeah, I like the Miami call. I actually think they're one of my favorite GPP targets today, and their team total has actually been on the rise here as the days gone on, which is really encouraging. Seeing a lot of money backing Miami today. I might actually go put a bet over in Bet Karma on their run line here with Rodgers on the hill and me liking their offense today.
Yeah, I like that. I think we can move to position by position, starting at catcher. So it honestly is in catch. This is just Gary Sanchez, right?
So I like Sanchez today. You know, I'm not the biggest proponent of Gary Sanchez, and I don't like playing him a lot. But when he makes contact with the baseball, it goes a long way. And J.A. Happ's not striking out the world. One guy that I really want to keep investing in is Ben Roarvet, because I actually think he's pretty decent. Young left-handed catcher for the Twins. He's going to be hitting near the bottom of the order, but gets a pretty good matchup today against King from the Yankees in what is probably a bullpen game for them. And at Stone Min, especially if I want to pay up for pitching, I think he's my preferred salary saver on this slate. And then can always use Martin Maldonado, 2.2K. He's always a good punt. And then Jorge Alfaro is also interesting in that sneaky Miami stack.
Yep, I completely agree there. Assuming Rovet's in, I think he's a good play. If he's not in, Ryan Jeffers is only 2,600. I also think that he can be used. Then realistically, you can use like Yermin Mercedes, Yasmani Grandal, even Jan Gomes. I wouldn't pay 5,100 for him. He's not really too much in my pool. He's just kind of way too expensive at this point. But I do think that hitting fifth, it kind of gives you an edge on a smaller slate, because realistically, who's going to pay 5,100 for Jan Gomes, right?
Yeah.
So moving to first base, you can lead us off here. What are you looking at?
So first base for me, I don't know if we want to save DJ LeMahieu for the second base section, but he's first base eligible as well. He really stands out to me here as someone with first base eligibility. And then you mentioned that twin stack in the stack section. I think they have two guys who are first base eligible here, in Miguel Sano and Alex Kirilloff, who's been really good to Carmination this year. That are solid targets on this slate. Outside of that, I mean, it kind of GPP stabs for me in guys like Josh Bell against DeSclafani. We know that he has a ton of power. And then probably my favorite GPP target is Jesus Aguilar here at first base against Chichi. Just we know he has a ton of power, double digit home runs this year already. So he is an interesting tournament target to me.
Yeah, I like both of those. I will just add Yuli Gurriel from Houston. We already kind of talked about that. We like the Houston stack. And then if you want to kind of take a shot here, Brandon Belt is priced down because he gets the matchup against Scherzer. Belt, has plenty of power. Scherzer gives up home runs. So if you're just kind of looking for like the one-off home run there, I do think that Brandon Belt's viable. Outside of that, I think you pretty much nailed first base. And we can move on to second. Again, you're using DJ LeMahieu here if you didn't use him at first base. I also think that Jorge Polanco 100% is fine. Jose Altuve or Jazz Chisholm up at 5K is so expensive, but that's why I think that Miami makes such a good play, because who's going to play those guys, right?
Yeah, no, when you have the Yankees guys cheaper, I mean, everyone is going to flock towards them for sure. Jazz Chisholm, I mean, a guy that I know Ben was on really, really early on in the season, and that was correct. And we've seen him his price just rise, even coming off the IL, and all the way up here at 5K. But it's warranted, it's justified. He can get it done in a lot of different ways. They haven't even really unleashed his stolen base potential yet, but could this be a slate where we see like a home run and then the fake home run in the hit stolen base category?
Yeah, I completely agree. Anyone else at second that you like? I think the only other guy that I would mention is like if you want to get weird and still want Yankees exposure, you can play like Rougned Odor, just because people are probably scared away from the lefty lefty. But honestly, one shouldn't be scared about J.A. Happ. Two, it's not like he's going to throw 6, 7 innings in this game most likely. And if the Yankees are going off anyway, Odor's probably going to see a righty out of the pen. So
Yeah. I think for me, one GPP option that will be very low owned is Marcus Semien against a lefty. I mean, this guy was a AL MVP candidate, and he just absolutely mashes lefties. And I'm not really intimidated by Keuchel. He limits bats, but he's definitely someone who can get blown up. And the more I'm thinking about it, Toronto could be a sneaky stack today that just goes completely under the radar because some of these price tags are inflated from the amazing season they're having. Hitting in that ballpark down there in Dunedin for that first half of the year.
yeah, I was actually considering saying Toronto as a stack, which honestly, I do believe that they're always viable. My only issue then is obviously the price tag because you're not really going to be able to pay up for Rogers and Scherzer and stack them most likely.
Yeah.
But I do think it's viable if you want to go a different way, like you want to play Rogers and Desclafani or something. I'm 100% fine with that. But we can move to third base. I feel like there aren't too many options that I'm falling in love with tonight, but who are you looking at here?
Yeah, it seems like it's a spend up position for me. Alex Bregman, I mean, I feel like I just recommend him every single time I'm on the show, but Alex Bregman against a lefty, he's finally heating up. Price tag actually down to 5K. He was getting up in that high fives range. He was 5.5 2 days ago, 5.8 yesterday. So getting him at 5K in Fenway is really, really nice. Gio Urshela, just a guy whose advanced metrics have been great all season long, incredible exit velocity, and looks like a guy who's just gotten incredibly unlucky. And, normally we see things kind of regress to the mean there when a player has been getting unlucky to start the year. So Urshela, a guy I want to be invested in that Yankee stack. And then poor run out for Josh Donaldson last night, getting absolutely dominated by Garrett Cole. But who knows? Maybe he bounces back tonight. He won't be as popular as he's been over the past couple of weeks in the fantasy community just because he's up to that 4.9K. But yeah, definitely someone I'm interested in. And then just the Miami guys, Diaz and Birdie are semi-interesting as cheaper options in Miami.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you. The one guy that I'll add is Rafael Devers. I think really any slate he's viable. I don't generally love targeting Greinke, but it's not like he's throwing at his highest level of his career anymore. So I have no problems with him. I think realistically for me, the two that I would prioritize are going to be Gio Urshela or Alex Bregman, depending on the price that I need. But it's highly unlikely you see me drop below the 4K tonight at third base. At shortstop, I mean, once again, we have Jorge Polanco. Gleyber Torres, 100% fine. Trey Turner, I feel like realistically, Trey Turner can go against the Jacob deGrom, and you would feel relatively okay playing him just because of the way that he hits. I mean, outside of that, you obviously have Carlos Correa, who I feel like could be the most disrespected player on DraftKings, where they literally just never put him over 5,000. And that might be about it. Who else are you looking at here at short?
Feels like we have a lot of underpriced options here today at shortstop between like Glaber and Polanco, who double donged last night, and Correa, like you said. And then that's why it makes a guy like Jazz Chisholm, who's less expensive than all of them, like really, really contrarian and shortstop eligible tonight. So the more we keep talking about him, the more I'm thinking that he's a pretty elite GPP play. And then another guy who was priced regularly above 5K and now he's down to 4.4K is Bo Bichette.
Yep.
And the more we go on here, Bales, this is why I love doing the show with you. You kind of pull the GPP out of me a little bit. I'm thinking I might go to this Toronto stack tonight. I might find the money, maybe do like a Montas Rogers, and then play Toronto tonight. I think I'm digging that.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because Bichette is really cheap. I think I can add another player to the player pool in Brandon Crawford, who, if you know Brandon Crawford throughout his career, and I told you that he's played in 53 games this season and he has 14 home runs already, you probably think it's absolutely crazy, but he does, and he obviously gets a matchup against a pitcher where his only real flaw is that he gives up home runs. So down at 3,500, I mean, Brandon Crawford makes a lot of sense if you need a save somewhere, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he crushed the other night. He was the key to winning tournaments 2 nights ago for sure with that double dunk. So, and we know Scherzer's home run prone. That's what he struggled with throughout his career. I do think Scherzer's going to try to put on a show tonight because I think the Nationals are going to try to sell him at the deadline. And should I bring this up to you now, Bales? What do you think the chances are that the Mets would give up a top prospect to go get Scherzer? Because that would excite me.
I would hope that they would, honestly, but I can't imagine Washington is willing to give the best staff in baseball one of the best pitchers in baseball. Like it honestly, it just wouldn't make
That's
that
how
much
I felt
sense.
too. Yep, that's what I thought. But I got a few text messages this morning of people asking me that with the Carrasco move about him not looking like he's going to be ready anytime soon. So sorry to go all Mets fan on you guys here for a few seconds.
Listen, I'm all in. If they get that, we could lock it down. To be
Oh
fair, though,
baby.
Taiwan Walker ain't throwing at this level for the entire season. Let's
Nope.
be honest. But I do believe that he actually looks like a good pitcher this year. So uh, him as a four, I think it's going to be really good.
I completely
And
agree.
we can move to the outfield now. I think this is like relatively easy where you're going. You have Stanton and Judge for the two New York guys. Realistically, if you want to save there, you have Andujar at 26. Nelson Cruz, I feel like, is probably going to be at least a little popular. He's only 5K. Larnach is 2,200. He's currently projected to hit third in the order. I mean, you don't get much more ridiculous of a price tag than that. So he'll probably end up being the salary relief that most people use in cash games. I think he's 100% fine in tournaments. If you also want to spend down on New York, Clint Frazier is projected to hit ninth. I don't love the back end of the order, but it's not like their team total isn't high enough that literally the entire team can score. So um, outside of like the obvious Minnesota, New York guys, who are you looking at here?
Yeah, we've got the Yankees guys. The Nationals guys, I think, are pretty interesting. Juan Soto is finally starting to break out and get hot here. I was kind of a little bit too early on him. I played him a lot last week, and now, of course, this is the week that he breaks out. I feel like that's the story of me and fantasy baseball this year is playing guys a little bit too early. Kyle Schwarber at 3.8K is, I think, pretty underpriced. I could see him getting popular in cash games today if people aren't able to go up and get Stanton and Judge. I could see Schwarber catching some ownership if he gets a favorable lineup spot today. Like you said about Trevor Larnach, I mean, we just rarely see this type of power upside at such a cheap price tag at 2.2K. The last time we had a player down here with that kind of potential was Alex Kirilloff, and that's when we made a lot of money playing him. So I'm going to keep investing in Larnach for sure. And then one guy who's just starting to tear the cover off the ball and might be the perfect fifth guy to throw in that five-man Yankee stack is Miguel Andujar here at 2.6K. I think he's a really good salary relief option as well, hitting near the bottom of that Yankees order.
Yep, I 100% agree with that. Schwarber's hitting fourth. So I agree that if people don't go up, double spend up with the Yankees, I do think that Schwarber could get pretty interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that about does it. We have one thing left, which is the home run call. So, Rube, who are you looking at the home run tonight? To hit a home run
So
tonight,
I'm
I guess.
feeling a little bit. I'm feeling a little bit of pressure because yesterday, I mean, you called out Ben for picking too chalky of a home run here. So I'm feeling a little bit of pressure here to pick maybe a more contrarian guy. So I'm gonna go with my guy today, my punt catcher, Ben Rorvet, home run today at 2K. We finally get the cheap home run call today on Ben Rorvet.
There it is. I love it. See, Ben likes to come out here and he's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna pick an easy guy," and then basically just bases it off of the chalk plays in DFS, and then we'll just pick someone ridiculous. Uh,
You
no,
think
I
Ben
really like
thinks
that
Stanton
call.
hits a home run today? You think Ben thinks Stanton hits a home run today? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
that'd probably be his call. Him,
Love you, Ben.
he would probably call a double, him and Judge, and then say, "Oh, well, I picked two guys."
Yep. Love you, Ben.
he's he's probably gonna watch this, and I'm gonna be in for it tomorrow. But I'm gonna go with
Oh
Brandon
yeah.
Crawford, the
Look at you.
new home run machine, Brandon Crawford against Max Scherzer. But that is all we have for you guys. As always, you can check out all of our content on dfskarma.com. I know that Rube had the MLB breakdown for tonight's slate. We will have the MLB game theory is up. You can just check out all of our stuff, grab our core plays for as little as $5. But until then, good luck tonight.